Hello, my name is Candi Hager. I'm a senior in animal science, and today I will be discussing with you the seasonality of the equine reproductive system. Horses are a species that is known as a long-day breeder. This means that their approximate breeding season extends from April through October. Horses have this instinct because evolutionarily it was beneficial to foal in the springtime, therefore better survival rates for the foals. The warmer weather is easier for a newborn foal to survive because they are not born with a full winter hair coat, as a normal horse in the winter carries. This presentation discusses the reasons for the seasonality of the female equine reproductive system, which include a combination of internal clock and a series of neuroendocrine signals that keep the mare on this schedule. Horse owners and veterinarians have worked on perfecting the manipulation of the mare's equine cyclicity for performance reasons. All horses have a uniform birth date of January 1. This means that every horse turns 1 year older on January 1, regardless of the actual day they are born. The uniform birth day is for registration purposes. To optimize the growth and potential advantage over competition, horse breeders prefer to have their foal born as close to after January 1 as possible. This would mean that the horse had a maximum time to mature as it does its competitors. Maturity and preparedness for training is important for racing and showing competitions. This means that the mare will need to begin cycling before the standard breeding season. The mare needs to start cycling in late January to early February to optimize the opportunity. The average gestation length is 340 days for the horse. This means that breeding in early February should give you the best chance for January foal. Before beginning talking about how the equine reproductive system is manipulated, it is important to establish the basics of their system. During the breeding season, mares typically have a 22-day cycle with about 5 to 7 days of estrus, also known as heat. There are about 2 to 3 gonadotropin-releasing hormone, also called GnRH, waves in the mare cycle. The GnRH waves causes the release of the hormone follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, and luteinizing hormone, LH, from the pituitary. The FSH causes growth of the follicles. Typically, one follicle will become the dominant follicle and take the lead on the growth. The growing follicle increases the amount of estrogen in the mares producing from the follicles as well. The higher amounts of estrogen cause the mare to have the characteristics of estrus or heat. Once the follicle reaches approximately 40 millimeters in diameter, the mare will ovulate. If the mare is bred, the CL, or corpus luteum, will remain. If the mare is not bred, her body will recognize there is no pregnancy. If there is no pregnancy, prostaglandin, also called PGF2-alpha, will be released from the mare's uterus, and the CL will be lysed. This is what restarts the cycle over again, and the process happening at the beginning with the GnRH waves. This figure will just gives you an overview of the mare's cycle. Now that the basics are established, it's time to move on to the neuroendocrine signals a mare receives to know it's time to begin cycling again. A long-day breeder means that the mare's cyclicity is affected by the amount of daylight they are exposed to. Longer days include more light and less dark. The dark time of the day is when the melatonin is produced in the pineal glands. There are receptors in the horse's eyes that send a signal to the pineal gland to produce the melatonin. The horse's body responds to lower amounts of melatonin as a sign to begin cycling. Large amounts of melatonin suppress the release of GnRH. As explained earlier, without GnRH, the mare will have no follicle growth and therefore not cycle. This is why in the fall and deep winter short days, the mare goes into a stage of anestrus, or non-cyclicity. Horse breeders have used this tool of lighting to manipulate the mare's transition into breeding season. There have been studies that show increasing the amount of light that the mare is exposed to aids in jump-starting the mare's estrus cycle. Managers increase the horse's exposure to light by putting horses under artificial lights in a barn. It has been found to be more beneficial to increase the amount of light in the late afternoon into evening hours versus turning the lights on early in the morning. This keeps the mare closer to the way the normal increase in day length works. Figure 2 shows a visual flow chart of how the reproductive cycle works. The mare beginning to shed her hair is also a sign that an increased amount of light is working. The horse's hair growth cycle works similar to the reproductive cycle when it comes to the effects of melatonin. The decrease in amount of melatonin in their system, the hair begins to shed. Horses do this to prepare for the warmer temperatures associated with longer days. Day length and light exposure are not the only signs a mare uses to start cycling. The mare has a few other internal clock cues that set the stage for proper transition. There are a few basic things that should be addressed before light manipulation. First off, the body condition score of the horse. The mare will not begin cycling if she's too thin or too fat. Too thin tends to be more of the issue when mares aren't cycling. This is because the mare does not have enough body fat to support the energy requirements of a growing foal or lactation. This typically becomes more of an issue when horse owners are trying to breed performance mares either from the show ring or the track. Thoroughbreds are usually more on the lean side and have the most problems with body condition scores. It is important when preparing a mare for the breeding season to keep up with the proper nutrition. Another factor that can play a role in the internal clock is the external temperature of the air. This has been shown that mares are sensitive to colder temperatures as a sign of longer days. Warmer temperatures will aid in the transition into cyclicity, but colder temperatures will negatively affect the progress on moving horses into a normal estrus cycle. As discussed, the mare uses a combination of endogenous signs to establish the equine breeding season. The seasonality is affected by neuroendocrine signals from the exposure to light, day length, body condition score, and external temperature of the air. These three things have been manipulated by equine managers to have mares foaling as early as January. Managers want their foals to be born early to optimize the performance of the foal. A widely accepted practice with the most successful results in transitioning the mare into normal cycling comes from increasing the mare's exposure to light. This is done by artificial lighting in a barn setting. Each mare has their own individual internal clock, but equine breeding managers have made strides in improving the mare's reproductive productivity. This information is important for understanding the mare's reproductive cycle and maximizing the use of your mare during breeding season. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and that's the end.